It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste, just 96 calories, available for delivery. Dan, we haven't seen him play since 2022. I, for one, am not concerned. He'll be 47 when the next NFL season starts. Again, not concerned. Many thought he'd never play again, even though me and Billy told you he would most definitely play again. Well, Dan, over the weekend, guess what?
He left the door open.
He said he's open for business and that he's still in NFL shape. And Dan, just like that, make no mistake about it, Tom Brady is back. Exciting.
It really is interesting to watch how he and Peyton Manning are going to compete for dollars the next 10 years. Peyton Manning just signed a 10-year deal with ESPN.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady's saying, yeah, but I don't have to do 10 years. I'll do a season of games, 17 games.
And playing a few.
Maybe playing a few. He actually said if the call comes, it depends on who calls. He'll go out there and be a mercenary.
I love that the Patriots are an option now.
It would be great. They're not an option.
No,
they
they're
were
an
one
option.
of his options, yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely an option.
Yeah.
Belichick's no longer there.
We were running a scenario, Stu, last week when we heard the news where Tom was like getting out ahead and he was calling every team that Belichick was going to interview for and be like, by the way, if there's an opportunity at the end of the season, I might be interested. Bill can't be there, though.
But not if he's our coach.
Exactly right.
It's a reason to not hire him. I mean,
May explain some things.
Stugotz spent the weekend with Belichick.
well, I didn't spend the weekend with Belichick. Belichick delivered the pregame speech to the Northwestern women's lacrosse team.
He spent the weekend with you.
You came in here and you said
He was the third best coach on the field that day.
I was watching him. He was sitting under a tree on the phone. And
He was, yeah.
And you said he was the third best coach, that you were second.
Yes. Oh.
Who was
you're
Northwestern
first.
I didn't
playing
give an
against?
order.
Were they fourth?
You're first. You were first. I assumed you were second. My
Kelly
bad.
Amante Hiller, 1 or 2, depending on the day.
What?
Close second me. She's 1. Belichick third. Ohio State coach 4th.
I will say this. You assured us that if Belichick was there, he was going to be a guest on God Bless Football this week. So did that happen? Or
Well, he was on the phone under a tree. I'm working on it. Tiger shooting a career worst in a major tournament. Tiger, I told you not having sex wouldn't help.
Should have just had the sex, right? He finished.
Tons of sex.
Finished in last place.
Yeah.
He might have not made the cut, though.
Well, he made the
At
cut.
least I'm saying if he would have had sex, maybe he wouldn't
No,
have
but
made
Dan
the cut.
does his thing with last place, and technically he made the cut, though. Jordan Spieth would have loved to be there over the weekend.
Okay, but when they tallied up all the names at the end of the tournament, his was the last one on the leaderboard.
A lot of people like Le Batard laughing at Tiger Woods for his performance at Augusta. Luckily for Tiger, he can go home and laugh about it in one of his 5 green jackets. You, of course, know what that means, right, Dan?
What does that mean?
It means Tiger always has the last laugh. Laugh all you want. Go ahead. Chuckle fest. Ha, ha, ha. Last place. Can't walk. He's getting old. You know what he does? He puts on a green jacket and he laughs at you. Huh?
I wasn't laughing at him. I was just pointing out that he finished in last place.
the red with his new logo did not look right.
It's hard to wear red when you're plus 14.
I know, but a new Tiger logo instead of the Nike swoosh.
You're laughing at him. I didn't laugh at him.
Last laugh, Tiger, though.
You're laughing at him. I just heard you laugh at
Tiger's
him.
laugh is after his laugh, Dan.
It's always laughs. He hated playing with that guy on Sunday, right?
Oh, could stand it. Never thought I'd live long enough to see Knick fans arguing on the last day of the season about whether or not they should get the 2 seed. What a time.
They should have lost that game. They really should have lost that game.
Insane to go win that in overtime playing DiVincenzo 50-plus minutes
He's
to
good.
do it.
Yeah.
Nobody loves a regular season like Tom Thibodeau.
The Italian kid from Ohio.
Is Magic Cavs going to be played on like free TV or something like
NBA TV
Freeform.
2.
The rare moving day where just about everyone stayed put. The only guy that moved was Colin Morikawa. Know what the M in Morikawa stands for, Dan?
I do not.
Moving.
That would
was right there
That
for
would
you,
make
Dan.
sense. Yes, I was right. It was right there for me.
Got an update on Andrew McCutchen. Still playing. He's a Pirate. 300 homers. Kutch. Hall of Famer?
He made the Pirates relevant in this era.
Do
I'd
they
say
call him
yes.
Borderline.
Kutch?
Yes, they
well,
do.
the,
Kutch,
the
yeah.
Pirates aren't relevant in this era, though.
But if you were to name a pirate, he would be the one.
You're
That's
right.
true. For the
Yes.
last, 20 years.
That should get
Even
you
when
into
he
the hall.
wasn't a pirate
Yeah.
for a few years.
Do they call him Kutch, though?
They do,
Of
yes.
course. Everyone knows that. The Sunday night after the Masters ends makes me sad. Top 5 saddest Sundays of the year. Number 5, the last Sunday of summer break. Number 4, Masters Sunday. Number 3, the last Sunday after the Christmas, New Year's holidays. Number 2, Super Bowl Sunday. And number 1 for my poor wife Abby, every Sunday.
So you're just doing Sunday night, though, right? Because the Super Bowl, the day of the Super Bowl, you're fine. It's just you
I
feel
get sad.
slothy.
No, the whole week I'm sad because conference championship games are done. You have one lonely football game left.
You're sad all of Radio Row Week?
Yeah, the whole week.
You
Because
wake
football,
up on Masters Sunday just sad.
Yes. Because I'm not going to see the thing I love so much for another year. Makes me sad.
Don't smile because it's going to be over soon. Smile because it's not happened yet.
That's how you say it.
I think that's the saying.
That is exactly.
We don't
how
know
you
the
say
rest
it.
of it. Just continue.
Baseball and your unwritten rules. Get over yourselves. Top prospect, Jackson Holliday, is 1 for 15 to start his career. Hey, Jackson, do it in the majors. If you like a heart attack with your save, Craig Kimbrell is your guy. It's never easy. Also a tough name. Golden State Warriors, the rare win or blow up the team game. A lot on the line. Boston, New York, Cleveland, Orlando, Indiana, Philadelphia, Oklahoma City, Minnesota, LA Clippers, Dallas, Phoenix, all of you, do it in the postseason.
Wow.
Dan, we were so close. I believe the closest we've ever been to a Masters Champions dinner menu that included gefilte fish.
Is it gefilte? I thought it was gefilte. I don't know how
Tomato,
to pronounce
tomato.
It doesn't matter. It's always funny.
it. Okay. It is a funny phrase. Agreed.
Observations we were so close to having if Max Homa won the Masters. Dan, you know what the B in Butler Cabin stands for?
I do not.
It stands for brisket. Dan, you know what the M in Masters stands for? Meshuggah. Man, Max.
Thought you were going to go for matzo ball soup.
The start of 60 Minutes. The rare jump scene that you know is coming and still gets you every single time. It was jump scare, not scene.
The joke doesn't work if you don't say
No,
it
I get it.
correctly.
Thank you,
work
Izzy.
either way.
Appreciate it. The Atlantic having an article titled Democracy Dies Behind a Paywall. Behind a paywall. The Atlantic, the Stugotz, is so very strong in you. Cavs, Magic, first round matchup. If this series was a movie, it would go straight to DVD. They say the Masters doesn't start until the back nine on Sunday. Scottie Scheffler didn't get that message. Seth Davis tweeting that he and Mark Pope can go line for line at reciting Hamilton lyrics is the last thing I'd want to see if I'm a Kentucky fan. I want my coach to be too busy that he's never seen Hamilton. I mean, seriously, what is he doing? You think Calipari has seen it?
The only Hamilton I want is Leonard.
8 golfers shot under par over the weekend. Do you know who wins the Masters every year, Dan? Augusta. I didn't give you a chance there. The only thing crazier than Scottie Scheffler winning 2 Masters before turning 28 is the fact that Scottie Scheffler is only 27.
28, yeah. He
Come
doesn't.
on,
He
get outta here.
does look 48. He does look older.
The Dodgers fan that threw back a fake home run ball while keeping the real home run ball. Heady play, man.
And then doing interviews afterward.
A nominee.
I would have been fine with them just turning down the broadcast and just interviewing him for the rest of the game.
A nominee for the least surprising headline of the year. An agency led by Bad Bunny is facing sanctions.
Whoa.
What happened?
Why do you think Bad Bunny?
What did Bad Bunny ever do to you?
Why did Bad Bunny
Nothing,
do
I'm
to
just-
deserve
it was just-
sanctions?
It wasn't surprising.
What's the
I
deal
mean,
with
it's
that?
not
What do
Good
you
Bunny,
mean?
it's Bad Bunny. Yeah,
Okay.
Conejo Malo.
Bad Bunny.
Okay.
John Rahm looks like he's having difficulty living inside his own skin. He does. John, Live wasn't made for you. It was made for guys who don't give a guys who are past their primes, guys that have gambling debts, or, if you're Phil Mickelson, all of the above. Lefty, death, taxes, and Tommy Fleetwood in contention Sunday at Augusta. The things you do driving around the Midwest on a gummy in the passenger seat. Top 5 athletes, that Canota rock band. OLI, John Jett. ML Carr. Razor Ramon.
I'm sorry. What? So what are those? What's
That
happening
Canota
there?
rock band, Tommy Fleetwood.
Okay, but what are the Jones Jet or Benny and the Jets?
Joan Jets. What do you
Okay,
mean?
I
Benny
don't-
and the Jets a song.
John Jett sounds like Joan Jett. She's a rocker.
Yes. Tommy Fleetwood, Fleetwood Mac.
Okay, sorry.
Number 5, Kareem Rush. Number 4, Max Crosby, Kenny Stills, Steve Nash, and Vince Young.
Wow. Okay, all of them. All right, nicely done.
Thank you, everyone.
That one got an ovation
yes,
back
that's
here.
pretty good. That's pretty
Number
good.
Depends on
3,
why.
Marty Fish. Number 2, David Boston. Number 1, Johan Santana.
Santana Band.
Absolutely,
Is
Dan.
Santana a
Absolutely,
I mean,
Dan.
I think
Come
of
on,
Santana
man.
as an individual
Carlos
artist.
Santana, the individual. Santana, the band built around him.
So upset at you.
I think of Santana as an individual, not as a band. What do you want me to tell you?
I don't know.
Carlos Santana's in the Hall of Fame, isn't he? Not
Johan?
the whole band is.
Carlos
not
Santana, the first baseman?
You think Johan did enough, huh? Heat Sixers. The rare lose or go to the Mecca game. John Rahm, you took $600 million smeared in blood. Do me a favor. Spare me your outrage about the playing conditions at Augusta. Hey, John, know what $6 million buys you? Me never caring about anything you ever have to say again. Vern Lundquist, it's been an honor listening to you, sir. Tip of the cap.
Wow, a sir, an honor, and a tip of the cap. The holy
Deserves it.
trinity for a guy who looks like a soap bubble.
Is Santana
First
up
year
there?
are you
now
doing,
this, I mean,
Dan?
what's
Come
going
on.
on?
That's a looks
Leave
like
Vern out of
tournament.
this.
No, that's a seed he got in our tournament one time. Vern Lundquist looks like a soap bubble.
This is why Billy canceled looks like, because you're a little offensive.
Body shaming.
Looks like a soap bubble. What do you want me to tell you?
Boban's listening.
Boban or Boyan?
Benches cleared in Dodgers Padres. Why do the benches clear in baseball? Like, do you think the guys in the bullpen jog in thinking, what the hell are we doing here? Honestly, it's a waste of a jog. No one's going to fight. Speaking of Hell or Bryles, Dan, those are the weekend observations.
This show has enjoyed over the last year making fun of Joe Cronin and the Portland Trailblazers. Basically, this entire Trailblazers season has existed for us in Miami only as a thing to pay attention to mock. And yesterday, a Portland Trailblazer named Delano Banton, not only Stugotz, went 0 for 15 from 3.
Right. Wow.
Which is damn hard to do.
It's amazing.
But then I would guess, without knowing any other details other than he was ejected for a flagrant 2, I'm going to go ahead and say frustration foul. After
missing the 15th?
I didn't watch anything. They were down by 30. I see him leaving the arena. I'm like, how does he feel about himself? Walking back to the locker room, flagrant 2, I'm ejected. Does he know he's gone 0 for 15? Surely he knows he hasn't made a 3. Surely he knows he's having a bad day. But does he know he's missed 15 of them and that's never happened before?
I'm not certain if he knows the exact number, but he knows he missed a lot. Like, he definitely knows that.
Shooters always know they're going to make the next one. So you don't count the ones behind you. You count the ones in front of you.
Is he a shooter? 31% from 3?
Well, you know how to. Shooter's mentality, at least.
He was 2 for 10 from 3 the night before.
No, he's 4 for his last 34 or something from 3. But Tony's right. Tim Hardaway, I asked him one time, and what were you thinking when you were 0 for 17, that I was about to be 1 for 18? Like, that's what I was
Shooter's
thinking.
mentality. You're always going to make the next one, Dan. That's the thing. That's the allure of the shooter is like, this next one, you know what it is? I fixed my form. Maybe it's my elbow was a little too out. Maybe my legs weren't facing the rim.
Can you have a shooter's mentality in the NBA if your name is Delano Banton? That's my only question.
He was 6 of 11 from 2. I mean,
best part is that he's one of the bright spots of the Blazers season. Genuinely.
Is he named after FDR?
Well, this is DALNANO. Wow, that was
Delano
Chris
on the
level
beach, I
reaching.
think.
No, you didn't spell that right.
DALANO.
Do your Boban bit again.
Bojan, Bogdan. That was really funny, right?
Stugotz, do you think ESPN is about to do a 30 for 30 on Stuart Scott? And I mentioned earlier, I am super interested to see what the deal is that Peyton Manning has with Omaha Productions and ESPN, because it was reported that Peyton Manning and Eli are just doing the Manning cast, but they signed a content deal. They're going to be making stuff for ESPN. ESPN is going to start outsourcing some stuff and using people who don't necessarily work inside the company to make things for them, but they're making a 30 for 30 on Stuart Scott, and I'm genuinely curious whether they're going to tackle how hard people in that building made it on Stuart Scott. Like, I'm genuinely curious whether they're just going to turn it into a celebration of Stuart Scott.
Tell the whole story.
Or whether they're going to examine, because Stuart Scott and the people who care about Stuart Scott will tell you that there were a whole lot of people playing defense against his general style when it came on that made that not popular but deeply unpleasant. You're talking about pre-social media and all this stuff that you now see that is out in the open that can't be missed in terms of racial divisions. He was coming to the Church of Sports, and he was doing it in a way that was black. And we weren't used to consuming it that way. And he was treated, anyone who went through that time with Stuart Scott will tell you that he was an amazing pioneer, at least in part because of how hard he had it inside of that building from people who were supposed to be supporters.
Can I take a cannonball on this? I still work for ESPN.
Oh, I'm just curious. Like,
I'm trying to get back there.
Can you even tell that story correctly? Can you even tell that story correctly? If he is, that's true. Like,
ranking quarterbacks, baby.
His greatest bummer of everything of the last 4 years is that he's not on the lacrosse games for ESPN anymore.
Miss those, man.
doing lacrosse on ESPN3. No, but I'm genuinely curious whether or not you can tell the story without that part. Like, it can be an homage and also celebrate him all the more because he had to overcome a time.
I'd be very surprised if it's anything but a celebration of Stuart Scott's career. I'd be very surprised. It's airing on ESPN. ESPN is involved in the production of this movie. I'd be surprised if ESPN's going to bring that onto themselves.
Because he had his own autobiography that came out before he passed away that delved into a little bit of this stuff, I would think because it's already out there and it wouldn't be something that's being discovered for the first time, maybe they'd be willing to delve into it a little bit. But like you guys said, I would imagine this is mostly just a celebration of the innovation that he had as a SportsCenter anchor.
You guys have heard me talk before. We're in the documentary business. We will be having between 10 and 20 documentaries coming out in the next couple of years. And one of the lanes that we have that I think is getting harder and harder to occupy is that we don't have to worry about corporate dilutions because of who we're teaming up with so that we can tell the most honest version of a story. I saw here recently, Stugotz, and I was surprised by this, and I don't know what's happening here. I don't think that Apple has had the impact that some of the other streamers have had outside of Ted Lasso. So they did an exceptional documentary on the Patriots Dynasty. It's 10 parts. There is no disputing that there was stuff in there that most people have not heard, and there is no disputing that generally we're interested in conquering dynasties. You put Tom Brady in it, you put Bill Belichick in it, you put friction in it. At the end of it, you make it seem a bit like a character assassination of Belichick, where he gets hit especially hard in a way that makes you think Bob Kraft is the one editing that thing. But it seems to have had no resonance. It's a 10-part series over years, done for years over the team that has dominated America's most popular sport and is part of the reason that it is America's most popular sport, because when it started as a dynasty, it was not yet America's most popular sport. The fact that that was covered that well on Apple, and our viewing habits are so fractured, it doesn't seem like it made much of an impact except in New England, where they were reporting some of the details that made it feel like the end of that documentary was a hatchet job that just put everything on the desk of Belichick.
The most damning part to me was the Malcolm Butler discussion, right? And the implication that he did that for a personal reason and then just left it there for, I guess, other people to figure out after the doc. And that would have been ridiculously damning for Bill Belichick. And that, to me, was the one spot where I said, there's no way he was in agreement. Like, he was probably forced to sit in that seat because this makes him look terrible. But I haven't seen a follow-up to that.
But I'm interested in where Dan is headed with this conversation from the standpoint that's normally something I would seek out. I would want to watch, and for whatever reason, I didn't on this one.
Well, do you have Apple?
I do have Apple. I don't know how to access Apple, though. I mean, but
okay. The thing that's happening here, Netflix.
I liked it better when just boom, it was on ESPN. There it is. I turn on the TV.
That does make it easier.
Boom.
Yes, that is how a lot of people consume this stuff. But viewing habits are changing.
I mentioned this on Mystery Creator a few weeks ago, and I think this puts me in like an older demographic. But I really miss the days of just channel surfing, and even though I have YouTube TV and it has like a channel guide that you can surf through, I don't do it as much anymore, except for last night after the Masters. Lehman put on Rudy because it was on some random channel, and I was like, man,
TBS.
The good old days, like the 90s all over again, like you were saying, Dan. It was great. We don't channel surf anymore, and it's a shame.
Yesterday I was channel surfing to a sense in that like it gave me an option of a show I've never heard of. I was going through and then it said, like, for you, Stugotz, you're going to love this show. It's from 2023. It's called Greatest Heists with Pierce Brosnan.
Wow.
It's on History Channel.
Wow. Oh, I'm locked in.
That part, the little H on the History Channel really kind of takes away from it a little bit, but Greatest Heists with Pierce Brosnan.
But that's, Billy, I feel like I'm never, if Netflix or Hulu owns the catalog for Greatest Heists, I'm never going on those streamer apps and hitting it. That's a show for channel surfing. Same with Air Disasters.
Also, Greatest Heist, I'm interested in. With Pierce Brosnan, not missing.
Did they talk about the most recent heist, by the way?
What's that?
The Easter heist. You guys hear about that or no?
No.
It was it's like one of the biggest heists in American history. They did it over Easter weekend. They
eggs?
stole like $3 million. Yeah.
Oh.
And then they came back to work after Easter. And they were
$3
like,
million. Child's Play. Episode 1 of Greatest
in
Heist.
cash.
Over $100 million.
In
At
cash?
the time, now, $500 million. In diamonds.
That's a crazy heist.
America is in unprecedented territory. For the first time, a former United States president faces criminal charges in court. In one corner, a sleazy, slutty prostitute with no shame or credibility. In the other, Stormy Daniels. Donald Trump faces charges that he paid $130,000 in hush money to a porn star. No former president has ever stood trial before. This is the first of 4 criminal trials Donald Trump faces.
It's very serious. Like, he's the voice actor of a generation. He does like 21 voices on The Simpsons, and that's how we use him to do that. Elie Mystal is with us. He's a justice correspondent for The Nation. He's the author of Allow Me to Retort, A Black Guy's Guide to the Constitution. It's been too long since I've talked to him. His perspective and his viewpoint is necessary in these divided times. He's also the only person in the history of this show to do it with an Afro pick. Thank you for joining us, Elie. I appreciate the time. What do you find most absurd about both today and just the last, I'm going to say, 8 years of chaos?
There are 3 main witnesses in the trial that we're about to see, right? One is a former president of the United States. One is a low-rent fixer from the bridge and tunnel crowd who's already been to jail for lying to the FBI. And the third is an adult film actress. And it's the president with the least amount of credibility in the room. Like that's the thing that always kind of gets me, right? It's the actual president of the United States, which is the lowest hanging, sleaziest fruit in the entire room when put next to a fixer and an adult film star. That's kind of amazing. But it's where we are, because we know what happened here, right? Again, Michael Cohen went to jail for lying. So when he decided to tell the truth he told was that Trump slept with Stormy Daniels and paid him $130,000 to pay her to cover it up, right? That's fact, according to the FBI, who again jailed Cohen for lying about it in the first place. Then we have Stormy Daniels, who has done nothing but tell the truth. I mean, she might be able to lie to the camera for a living, but she doesn't lie about who she lays with, right? She ain't told a single falsehood in this entire story. So she knows who she slept with. She knows exactly the kinds of mushrooms that she's been dealing. She knows how much money she got, right? So the 2 people who haven't lied are not the president. And that's always amazing to me.
What do you expect to see today and the rest of the time in this trial? Because a criminal trial is different from some of his other courtroom shenanigans.
It's not, because he's white, so it's not. Like I expect to see chaos because Trump brings chaos, right? Look, if it was any other defendant, given his repeated violations of court orders and gag orders and propriety, and if it was any other defendant, Trump would be rolled into that courtroom on the Hannibal Lecter gurney, right? Just with the face mask, wouldn't be able to say anything because of his constant, repeated lies and falsehoods, right? But he's Trump. He's white. He's rich. So they ain't going to do that. They ain't going to wheel him in on the Hannibal Lecter gurney. They're going to let him walk into the courthouse, spew his ridiculousness, sit there for 6 hours where nobody gets to know, because there are no cameras in this courtroom for reasons passing understanding. So nobody gets to see it actually happen. Then he's going to walk out of the courtroom. He's going to lie about it some more. He's going to, it was unfair and the judge's daughter hates me. And he's going to do it's going to be the circus for 6 weeks, because that's all Trump knows how to do, right? When you're a carnival barker, every problem looks like a clown, and that's what Trump is. Like, he's just a clown, and he's able to bring clownishness to anything he touches. Rick Wilson says everything Trump touches dies. That's true. But it's also everything Trump touches is sullied, right? Everything Trump touches is lessened. And that's what this trial is going to be like, just like all of his other ones.
What about consequences?
All right, so here's the thing. Like, obviously, I hate the man, and I wish nothing but bad things for him for the rest of his life. But he's accused of falsifying business records, which he, I think, clearly did. I think the prosecution will show that he reimbursed himself illegally and fraudulently for the hush money payments. But the thing is, we don't normally put people in jail for this kind of business fraud when it's their first time offense. And calling Trump a first time offender hurts me like in my soul. Like, I don't like that reality that we live in. But he is technically a 76-year-old first time offender, and we generally do not put people in jail, 76-year-old people in jail for a first time offense of falsifying business records. Not saying that he couldn't go to jail, but I'm saying that, just put it like this. If he went to jail behind these charges, that would be extreme. And Trump always, uses the justice system in the other way. He always gets the most lenient version of justice, not the harshest version of justice, right? Another way of putting it is, you'd have to be black to go to jail behind these charges, right? And whatever Trump is, he ain't black. And so it's unlikely that he will face actual jail time behind this case. How
important is jury selection? What happens if Trump gets one MAGA fan on the jury?
And then he wins. It's the whole ball game, right? Like I've always thought about the Trump trial kind of like the Hugh Freeze scandal, right? Like what's important here? Like, oh, I'm going to call all these prostitutes. Well, yeah, it's not really bad to call an. What's bad is that you're on the Ole Miss plane while you're calling the prostitute. Like that's what got Freeze. Now imagine you're trying to hold Freeze accountable, and somebody on the committee is a booster, right, of Ole Miss. Or now you're trying to hold Freeze accountable years later, and somebody on the committee is a booster of Auburn. Like, what happens then, right? And that's where we are with the jury selection. It only takes one MAGA cultist, and as much as New York City has this reputation of being, super liberal, it's not, right? I mean, Eric Adams is in charge, technically, right? Like, we got idiots here, too. And so it just takes one inserted into the jury to hang the jury, because it's a criminal case and you need unanimous consent. I will say, and I said this on television last night, like, as much as I think that jury selection is the entire ballgame, I'm not completely hopeless here, right? Because the goal of jury selection is not to find 12 people who don't have an opinion about Trump. That's impossible. Everybody's got an opinion about Trump. The goal is to find 12 people who are willing to put their opinions about Trump to the side long enough to hear the evidence presented at trial, right? And to give that evidence the fair shake, as opposed to their preconceived notions about Trump. Now, personally, I could not do it, right? If I was in the jury pool, I'd be like, no, you have to exclude me. I hate the man. Just get me out of this pool. Like, I can't be impartial about this man. Are there 12 people in New York City, which has quite a few people, who can, in good faith, treat this man impartially? I think there's a chance. That you find those 12 people. Obviously, Trump's defense team will be looking for, they'll have their secret codes, and like, are you wearing the trucker hat underneath your, suit? Like, they'll be trying to find out who's actually MAGA and insert that person on the jury. That's what the defense is looking for. And if they get one or two of those people, that's it. It's ball game. But the prosecution and the judge, the jury questionnaire, I think, is very good. There's a chance that you could get a fair jury.
That goal seems unattainable to me, Elie. It just seems nearly impossible. You know what? It seems unattainable to me that you're going to find 12 people. The
other thing, Stu, though, is that the case is really simple, right? Like, there's not a lot. It's not a hard case to prove, right? Did you have sex with this woman? Yes. Did you pay her? Yes. Did you lie about why you paid her? Yes. Did you know you were lying while you were doing it? That's kind of the right. So like to rule for an acquittal, you've got to not just be like a Trump supporter in the way that, like, I don't know, Chris Sununu is, right? You can't be the Susan Collins, like, Trump has learned his lesson, Trump support. Like, you've got to be like dyed in the wool Lindsey Graham, like, I live inside Trump's crevices, like, Trump supporter, in order to acquit him. And again, they could find that person, but like I haven't completely lost hope that that person gets excluded.
Do you think Trump will testify?
I mean, he'll want to. He'll say he'll want to, because he thinks everything's a show, and he has that, you know, performer sense that if I could just razzle dazzle him, I can get off. The problem is that when you put him on the stand, all of his prior lies and bad acts come out, right? Like right now, what's happening, like while we're on air, is that the trial right now, they're making evidentiary decisions in the trial. Does the Karen McDougal story come in? Because remember, Stormy Daniels ain't the only person that he had sex with outside the bonds of his marriage, right? So does that story come in? Does the National Enquirer catch and kill stories, do those come in? Does the Access Hollywood tape come in? Do we have to play that to the jury? And when Trump gets on, you know, the judge is going to make those decisions today. But when Trump gets on the stand, he can talk himself into introducing further bad evidence against him. So if I'm his lawyer, I'm doing everything I can to keep that man, again, gurneyed and ball gagged and in the chair. Whether Trump is able to overcome that, I can't know. He's, you know, the client gets to decide, and Trump likes the camera. The fact that there are no cameras in this courtroom, I think, lessens the chance that Trump testifies. Honestly, if there were cameras there, I think he would use it as a campaign ad. Without the cameras there, I think cooler legal heads will prevail, but you never know with this guy.
Elie, I have a pitch that I'm interested in seeing if you want to get in on. Maybe you come on as a consultant or whatever. We have Hollywood friends we can pitch this to. It's a sitcom. Maybe you talk to some people at NBC. It's called White House Arrest. Ooh, and what happens is you have either a former president or current president. They go to trial. They're found guilty. And because of age or because of severity of the crimes, they get house arrest. But it's at the White House. Wow. So they can't leave. Yes. White House arrest. Yes.
Okay, so first of all, constitutionally, just to be clear, there is nothing that prevents a person who has been convicted of a crime or is currently serving time for a crime from being president. That's just not something the white enslavers who wrote the Constitution decided to put in there, right? And no, you could be in jail and be president, right? So like that, just as a legal matter, your pitch does pass the smell test. It's possible for that to happen. I would argue though that I don't want to get into too much trouble.
Right, that's like, really.
Let's also remember something. Trump is the first president to be prosecuted because other criminal ass presidents in the past have not been held accountable for their actions. Right, like there's some other presidents that we could have prosecuted if we were serious about this democracy in times before. Just to be clear, right? So like, I think the reason why it's so important to prosecute Trump for his crimes, not just this one, but the ones that Jack Smith is working on and all the rest, is that it's the only limiting factor we have to stop future presidents from doing future crime, right? If take Trump's immunity argument. If you becoming president makes you immune, not only for the things you do as president, but everything you do for the rest of your life, you know, that's a principle that's not just going to apply to Trump. It's going to apply to every president going forward. And that's a terrible precedent because presidents are already fundamentally dangerous to democracy and democratic self-government.
Well, I mean, we're thinking like 22 minutes, maybe Ted Danson, not that serious.
Sitcom laugh track.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're out. I mean,
Elie, I'm gonna read you 10 Donald Trump facts, and I want you to pick either the best or the worst one, however it is. Just 10 facts. Are you ready?
Okay.
Donald Trump once said that wind turbines cause cancer. Donald Trump once claimed that household bleach could cure COVID in, quote, 1 minute. Donald Trump founded a fake university. Donald Trump has been accused of sexual misconduct by at least 26 women since the 1970s. Donald Trump called for the execution of 5 wrongfully imprisoned teenagers. Donald Trump oversaw a foundation that misused donations for self-dealing while failing to pay victims of 9/11. Donald Trump called the pandemic that killed 1.1 million Americans a hoax. Donald Trump oversaw an agriculture department that banned the phrase climate change. Donald Trump said that John McCain was not a war hero. Donald Trump shared highly classified information with the foreign minister of Russia.
The wind turbines is always the dumbest. Like it's just always so like it's the level of like not knowing of things to say that always like jumps off the page. But obviously I gotta go with the 26 women that he sexually assaulted, some of whom he has been accused of raping. Like that, joking aside, right? Dude is Bill Cosby out here when it comes to how he treats women, and it's just like we just accept it, like it just rolls off the tongue, right? It's just also they're 20. It's not ever one, right? It's never just E. Jean Carroll. It's never just Stormy. It's all these women that he has molested, assaulted, and in some cases raped, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to Christians. I mean, again, with the Hugh Freeze. Who rehabilitated Hugh Freeze? Was it Auburn? No, it was Liberty. It was the Christian university that was like, get that escort man back in here. Yeah, we got to win some football games. Like, it's the Christians that are okay with this. And sorry. So, wind turbines, obviously the worst.
Always great. Thank you.
In his defense, I did the bleach thing and it worked. I mean,
how do you think I got my hair like this? I was trying to cure COVID. My hair ended up like this.
Thank you, Elie.